Hello everybody and welcome to Mr. Stan Smith's Education Videos. Today we're taking a look at the Magic the Gathering Photoshop project. So let's look at the Google Doc here together and jump into it. So the first thing that we want to just kind of take a look at is that Magic the Gathering is a game. It's a collectible card game, and there are over 20,000 unique cards, some of which have multiple printings and multiple illustrations. And so there's like over 25,000 fantasy images, fantasy illustrations, primarily illustrations, some paintings and drawings in there. And I think that that's a great resource for us to tap into. I love the genre of fantasy illustration for this kind of Photoshop project because you're not limited by the photographic realism, and so another sort of resource I like to tap into is vintage fantasy, vintage sci-fi kind of things. These are the genres of pop culture and media that I think are going to be really useful to sort of look at what's possible, right? Because what we want to do is create a Photoshop composite of multiple images that draws us in and is unique and has at least a subtle, if not a really overt kind of reference to the impossible, to the fantasy, to the sci-fi. So let's take a look at this project. So what we're going to do is find an illustration, a magic card illustration that we want to use. So we're going to go ahead, number one here, go to this website, Scryfall. Now, the official Magic the Gathering database has all of the cards, and that's called Gatherer, and you may want to go and use that website. But actually, Scryfall, for many of the cards, actually will give us a higher resolution file. And so it just gives us a little bit more maybe texture or detail to work with. So let's take a look. What we're going to do is go to this website, scryfall.com, and we're going to click right here, random card. And what's going to pop up is a random magic card, right? Now, what I want you to do is collect like 10 or 15 cards that you think kind of resonate. And what I'm talking about is the visual. Don't worry about what the rules say. Don't worry about actually the card border at all. What we're looking for is this rectangle of illustration right here, okay? If you look at the bottom of the card, you'll see a year. And I would say that in general, the more contemporary or the later years often are going to be like more detailed. These earlier years in the mid-1990s, early to mid-1990s, at the beginning of the game is when that game started. They were less realistic, and that potentially would leave us with a situation where we would have a hard time actually replicating the image. An image like this is much more abstract, and I think it would be a little bit difficult to create a Photoshop composite from this particular image. So I'm just going to go ahead up here and click random again. Mm-hmm. And so what you want to do is kind of click this a couple of times until you find an image that resonates with you. Okay. Now this is an older one. This is that it's an older illustration. You can tell by the style oftentimes too, if it's older. The other thing that you can do is once you pull up a card here, you'll see these prints, and if you mouse over, you'll see multiple printings, or you can click View All Prints over here, and sometimes there will be different illustrations for the same card. So if you see a title, the name of the card, Walking Wall, that inspires you, you can kind of go over here and say, well, I don't love this illustration, but maybe there's a different one. In this case, there's not, but sometimes there will be different illustrations over here. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to save this image. I want to save this image because I want to use it as a reference. Now, I want to have the highest resolution or the highest quality image available for this card. And so if I'm just collecting my initial like 10 images, that's fine. You can just right click and save image as. That's the other thing about this website. It's very easy to just save the image, right? You can save the image and you can save it, somewhere. In this case, I'm just going to save it to the downloads folder. I would recommend creating a new folder in your Google Drive or your Dropbox or something like that on a hard drive, so that, let's do that actually. Let's go to Stansfield T5 here. Let's make a new folder, Photoshop. Actually, I have a Photoshop files folder already. New folder, MTG, Magic the Gathering card resources. Okay. And I'm going to make another new folder, and I'm going to say this is the inspo folder, because I'm also going to be downloading other images later. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this here. Now, later, when you choose the actual photo, you may want to come back here to Scryfall. You may want to do a little bit of research. And one of the things you can do is open image in new tab. Okay. And then you can click the little plus sign and zoom in a little bit so that you can see the quality, right? And so as you kind of click through these prints here, you may find that the next print, open image in new tab, right? That may get you a little bit bigger, a little bit better quality, right? Let's go ahead and look at this Ice Age printing, open image in new tab. Now they're all pretty similar, right? If we kind of look here, each of these images, the actual painting or the illustration itself is pretty much the same quality. So I don't think that one of these images is going to be a higher quality than any of the others. But once you sort of choose your single image that you're going to do a composite, from a Photoshop composite inspired by, I should say, find the highest quality image that you can. So the other thing that you can do here, I'm going to close these tabs really quickly, go back here, and I can see here, illustrated by Anthony S. Waters. So the other thing you could do here is copy that name, Anthony S. Waters, open up a new tab, and then put in the walking wall. That's the name of the card, okay? And I'm just going to click through a couple of these tabs here just to see if, here's an eBay card, here's a Pinterest. You may find mtgpics.com. You may find a higher quality image, okay? There's the photo itself here on mtgnexus.com, the next tab over. Here's an eBay scan. So here's the thing. I want you to do just a little bit of research. Looks like here's some other illustrations maybe made by Anthony S. Waters, yes. Oh, and maybe here's a website, thinktankstudios.com. I think this might be the illustrator's website. Nope. Okay. So do just a little bit of research to get the highest quality scan of that card that you can find. All right. Let me bring us now into Photoshop. Let's take a look here. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't done 4 yet, but you will. 5, share the images with me, and we'll discuss which one I think you should start with. Don't move on to the next step before checking in. So this is important. I want you and I to make this decision together. I want to weigh in on the image that you choose, just based on my experience in working with Photoshop. I want to give you an achievable goal. I want to give you the opportunity to have a challenging project that is also achievable, right? And I think that there's somewhere in between there, achievable and challenging, that I think I'll be able to kind of steer you the right way. So once you've done that, what I want you to do here, let's go to Bridge, and I'm going to go ahead, and there are my PS files, there's my Magic the Gathering, there's my inspo folder, and here's my card. Go ahead and open that image in Photoshop. Give it a second here. There it is. And what you're going to do is crop the image. So we're going to use the crop tool here. We don't care about any of the other stuff except the image itself. You can include just the edges of the border if you want, just to make sure that you're not missing out on any visual information there. We're going to crop this photo down. There we go. Hit the F key there real quick, and I am going to go to image size. Now I didn't hit the shortcut key, but here we go. Let's do this. Image size. All right. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that my pixel dimensions are sort of big enough to see as much as we can. All right. Now Photoshop will do a pretty good job of making things bigger to a certain point. Anytime you increase the size of an image, of course, it will not be as high quality, right? SVU and other kinds of movies and TV shows where somebody's typing enhance, enhance, enhance. Photoshop can actually kind of do that now. It used to be that was just a total farce. That's not a real thing. In this case, what I want you to do is resize the larger of the two numbers. In this case, it's the width. It's all of these images are going to be horizontal images like this because they're all going to fit into that card space. We want to resize this to 2,000 pixels on the long side and click OK. All right. Now this is going to be very pixelated, and you can actually see, if you look carefully, you can see the printing, the shape of the CMYK printing dots there. That's okay. What we want to do though is just have like an image. It's going to be pixelated. You're going to see a little bit of that CMYK separation printing. That's totally fine. And that's, the goal here is just to have an image that's going to be a little bit bigger, and so that we can sort of look at the image without it being really small on our screen. That's really the only thing that we're trying to do. If you were able to find a higher quality image on eBay or something else, start with that, right? And if you can go bigger than 2,000, or if the native resolution is bigger than 2,000, right? If you go into your image size and this number is like 3,000 pixels or 4,000 pixels before you even start, don't make it smaller necessarily. I think having it as big as possible is good. But most of us, if we're going to that Scryfall page, we're going to be going from a smaller image to a larger image. So just keep that in mind. All right. Once we're done here, let's go ahead and save this file. And we're going to go ahead and put it into a folder so that it can be used as a resource later on. I'll call it here for part 1, and then stay tuned for part 2.